Hello, everyone. Hello, Karolina.
Hello.
It's great of you to join for the talk that you're going to give today as part of the financial series of Women Tech Makers in collaboration with FinMarie. Some logistics. This is being recorded. This is being uploaded to YouTube. And there will be a part of a presentation and there will be a part of a Q&A. If you want to ask questions, you're welcome to type them. It's always helpful when you add context. So if Karolina is going to be talking about something specific and you have a question about something specific, please give some reminder about what specifically do you mean, so that later in an hour when we come back to the questions, this would make sense. You will also have an option later to unmute yourself and to ask the question. But at the moment, this is disabled to allow the recording to be smooth. What else is interesting to say? I think that's about it about the logistics. So you're here because you saw the event on Women Tech Makers Meetup or on Twitter or on Facebook group. And this is a part of an ongoing collaboration between Women Tech Makers and FinMarie. And I'll tell you a little bit about Women Tech Makers and then hand over the mic to Karolina, who will tell a little bit about FinMarie and a lot about negotiating your salary and about breakdown of your payslip. So Women Tech Makers is part of the global, Women Tech Makers Berlin is part of the global Women Tech Makers organization, which is part of the Google developer groups. We're active in Berlin since 2015, so that's our 6th year. And 2 years ago, we were Berlin's most active tech meetup. This year, moving to Corona, we're still meeting once, twice a month. All the events are available on meetup.com, and we are a team of 10 volunteers with a goal of making the Berlin tech scene more diverse. This means talks about tech, about programming, about product, about salary, about HR, and everything in the field. If there is a specific topic you want us to host an event about, or if there's a talk you want to give, please ping me or ping any other of the organizers. You can find us, Meetup on Facebook and Twitter. We have a website. We have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, YouTube channel, and so on and so on. And without further ado, please welcome Karolina.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. It's a very big pleasure to be part of your events that you host with Women Tech Makers Berlin. And that's true. We organize a couple of them in terms of how you can invest, how you can save your money, what are the options if you are planning the family, and maybe shortly about my background. I'm originally from a financial industry. I was working in the financial industry for many big banks for a long time and a big corporation, so I have basically corporate background. And a couple of years ago, I decided to quit my stable, good paid job, Deutsche Bank, and decide to be independent and self-employed. And I found FinMarie. And FinMarie is online wealth management investment platform made actually for women by women. And we offered on the one hand the classical financial advisory option. We call ourselves Honorarberaterinnen. We offered you the option to meet with us, chat with us, have a financial coaching with us in terms of your all financial aspects, financial situation. And on the other hand, we also advise on the investment ideas, proposal, like for example, investing in stocks, bonds, ETFs. We also have sustainable investment funds in place, and we do not exclude men. We do not exclude men, but we want to support, but we want to, of course, increase the financial knowledge and financial literacy among the women. So that's why the focus. On women. And the link is finmarie.com. I can write shortly in chat because I noticed already the question. So we are also from Berlin, but before the COVID-19 we were in a lot of big German cities. We have also the clients in Austria, Switzerland, France, Poland, and so on. So due to the digitalization and the possibility of having a conversation, we also advise the clients on the different continents. And my co-founder Karoline, you will have with her the next topic, which will be real estate, topic of how you can invest with real estate. She's originally from Australia, so she has very deep dive background in terms of how the situation in Germany looks in compared to other countries. But today we have topic of salary payslip negotiation, or your salary, and I will say let's start with the presentation. If you have any question, please just keep this question for later on. I will answer all of your question later on. Now it's time to just concentrate and focus on this topic, and then we will back for all your questions which will come up. So today, as I mentioned, I would like to focus on your salary, your payslip, how you can negotiate salary, how you can get a rise. And I brought, like always, I mean, Natalie, she knows me. Every time when I do a presentation, I brought some statistics, some notes, and I brought some of them with me. So here's, for example, the statistics which shows how much the average salary brutto in Germany. So it's at the moment it's 3,994 euros, and it's not divided into the male or female gender aspect. It's just average brutto salary that the German citizen they have in Germany. And these statistics are the fresh one, the fresh one. They are coming from the Status, and they were public actually a couple days ago by Welt.de, the online newspaper. And here's also the comparison. How looks what are the branches? What are the industry where you, as a female, as a male, well, you can earn more money. So of course, if you see on the top of that is of course the engineering, all this pharma industry, also biotechnology, everything which is with new energy, new water, clean topics that are very popular, and also all the topics and all the industry which are very focused on special treatments for illness, like for example for cancer. And the second big group, there are those ones who are in information and communication, so basically your group and also my group. So everything which is with finance, also with the pension scheme, also information technology, communication. Then we have the group like those ones who are in trade, and also those ones who are in technique industry. Other than that, there are of course the lower paid industry. There are the social industry, like being a teacher, like kind of helping other people. So all this kind of area, the social area, and of course the touristic area, and also the restaurants, they are in the low pay situation at the moment. So that's the newest statistics. And of course, due to the COVID-19, we also noticed that all these branches like tourism, like restaurants, like also the shops, were very hit by the COVID-19. And here I also brought for you the comparison. What are the statistics in terms of how much female earn and how much male earn. So here you can also notice there are still a gender pay gap difference. Although we are living in 2022, there are still disadvantages on this field. And it doesn't matter in which kind of branches industry you are working on, there are still disadvantage on that, especially in hotel, on gastronomy, or even in the Einzelhandel, so like trade. It's also a huge disadvantage. Why are the reasons actually about that? So there are many reasons, and one of them is, of course, that we women, basically, we do not ask for higher salary. We afraid to ask for the higher salary, which is actually in comparison to our male colleagues, which is not the case. There are some best, let's say, salary practice where women actually are even more advantaged in compared to male, and there are only two branches, like biotechnology and pharma industry. And in pharma industry, if you are, for example, on the C-level management position, you have average 170,000 K in biotechnology. If you are working in pharma industry, you are between 110 and 120 K per year, your brutto salary. Here I brought also some salary predictions. So I read actually the last forecast, salary forecast 2020, and in the salary forecast it was shown the salaries after inflation are predicted to grow 2.1% globally next year. Of course, it's globally. Of course, it's average. That's mean in the countries like Deutschland, we are belong to the one of the richest countries, not only Europe but worldwide. We can reach this goal, but there are so many other countries which is impossible to reach this percent. And that's above this 2.1% globally net globally next year. That's above the 1% growth that was projected in 2019. But the increase in the wealth isn't because of the companies being more generous, because the companies want to give more money to their employees. It's just because the rate of inflation is declining around much of the world. So that's the only reason. The inflation is falling really considerably faster, and salary increase worldwide are expected between 4.9% on average in 2020, and it's decreased from 5.1% forecast, which was forecast in 2018. But as I mentioned again, the inflation is falling considerably faster to just 2.8% in 2020. So so I wouldn't expect much more better result than I show you at the moment. The highest real wage growth will come not in Europe, it will be in Asia. That's other prediction. And salaries are forecast to grow by 5.3%. And after inflation, it will be expected 3.1%. So it's more than globally 2.1%. Much of the rest of the world, like for example, United States, like United Kingdom, Australia, France, Germany, and Italy, they will see real wages increase by 2% or less. 2% or less. It sounds a little bit maybe disappointed, but still you have always chance to negotiate your salary. You have still option to just ask and wait for the feedback that you have. And today I want to discuss with you what are the steps, what are the tricks and hints that you can use in order to rise your salary, in order to be better in negotiation of salary, in order to be more confident when talking about money. And there are 3 steps. I want to just show you 3 steps how you can do it. And the step number 1 is to just figure out how much you work. So just basically, it's not about your net worth. It's not about how much do you earn, how much do you spend. You also this figure you should note, but it's about actually knowing how much you can earn on this position. And before you do anything, before you even think about starting negotiating and approaching your boss, there are some very great sources to help you actually to do this, that you take less time than that's normal routine. And starting with my free best of, I would say. Gehalt.de, that's a typical German portal where you can not only have the comparison of your salaries, where they provide you average salary data specific to your industry, to your function, to your geography in a very short time. It shows also you upfront job offers from potential employees, including compensation numbers, after you answer the question. So it's a German-based portal. You can also calculate your netto brutto salary, how much do you earn. You can also get some hint and tips in terms of your career. And they also come up with a lot of news in terms of what's the situation on the German market and so on. The international, the two big international ones, one is the hired and the second one is comparable. They have actually exactly the same features option in terms of providing average salary data specific to the industry, specific to your position, your age and stuff like this. So it's good to look into this portal. They also have very interesting stuff. So for example, comparable, they have this equity calculator. So for example, if you are working for the company in tech industry and they have the option shares program for you, you can easily calculate and see what is the equity compensation for your job in this industry, how much you could get if you will be in a similar position in a different company. And also by hire, you have a lot of up-to-date reports in terms of what are the new trends in hiring people, what are the new possibilities for people who are in tech sector. They also send regularly, also in their newsletter, but also in their social media channels, the idea of how you can earn your money working remotely. I mean, for you in a tech branch, it's actually a very easy way. No? So there are these free portals. For sure, please look into it before you do anything, before you even start thinking about your salary. Just make some research, have some numbers in place, and then you can start thinking about the next step. Yeah, and then the next step is, the second step is to set the stage for the rise with your boss. So with your boss, female or male boss. That means you should have this nice conversation, like what does success mean for me? What I would like to reach with my job. And it should include it not only I'm successful and this is why I would like to earn much more money. No, it should be very it's very important to ask for specific numbers, that you know that you can ask for the specific numbers and you know that number. So please don't be afraid to ask your boss about the numbers. Why it's so important? Because for the specific numbers which are related to your career, to your job title, it's come to review the time. When it's come to the time when you will be reviewed by your boss, it's very good to know to have very numbers in place, because numbers, if you have numbers in place, no one can actually say it's not something that you cannot prove. And examples of this key parameters. So for example, if you are working in tech branch and you are working in industry or in a company which produce some tools for marketing tools or some software for the customer service, you can ask, for example, for some metrics like how many new clients do we get last month since I was hired, and how do I see in comparison to my female colleagues in terms of the project which I was participate. Do I fulfill all the criteria? Were I good with the deadlines? How many new clients I have brought to the company? What is the customer satisfaction ratio? What the potential clients, partners, cooperation partners, they're talking about me, cooperation with me. What are the revenue targets that I have, and how many of these revenue targets I really fulfill? So get the idea of your job position, your job requirement, and then try to figure out for each of your job description bullet point, try to find out what could be the matrix, what could be the performance matrix that you can use after that. And of course, you should have the clear understanding how she or he wants to see you develop as a professional, as a C-level. Whatever it means, taking a great leadership position in the future, or it means, for example, gaining more experience in a different area, or just starting a new project. You should think of about all these three aspects. What should be my next step in this company? What should I bring to this company? How I can bring the company to the next level? And then there is the third step, which is actually you have to go to meeting prepare. And when I'm talking about prepare, I'm just talking about numbers. It's about knowing your worth and about knowing your status quo. So how much do I reach already in this company, and what I can also bring to this company in the future. And there are a couple of aspects. So first of all, you can show up with your career ideas and what the success in your jobs should look like. And it could be also, it's important to do it very in quantity way, but it's also too good to put some creative idea. And the more stuff you have in your mind, that's better. And very important point is here also agree with your boss on the milestone you look like. Write them down. It's very important. Just give him or her also this feeling that you are not only good prepared for the meeting, but you also take his or her feedback, and you also write down all the notice. Write them down, and then just try to work on each of them. Go home, review time, make sure you really understand what was the expectation for your boss. If you think I don't understand one of the points, just don't be afraid for asking a question. Asking a question is the best way to figure out what is behind what the people just thinking about you. And if you ask the question, you also have the stronger position, because it's a kind of requirement from the other person to just also start thinking on a different ideas, thinking on how you can evaluate in the future with your company. So very important, write down this list and make sure that you go with them for the next meeting. There are a couple of tricks that I would like to go with you in terms of negotiation. First one, and very important, I think that's the first bullet point. It's the most important in any kind of discussion. Focus on your priorities. Really concentrate on the best option is to just take your playbook or notizen on iPhone or whatever, and then just write down the bullet points. What are the most important thing, negotiation aspect for you at the moment? It's very important because negotiation piece by piece can accidentally make both that you feel like you lost because you are not compromising on each individual ask, plus it makes sense that you are asking for a lot of things too much. So better to have three best of, the most important from your perspective, bullet points and priorities for you, instead of list of different 10 different one, and just jonglering between them. Really, with good communication, it's very possible to uncover which items matter more for you and which items matter more for your boss. So it's very important to be prepared in this aspect. The second one is focus on mutual win-win. So win-win situation. And I think every one of us, they know this situation. And this is especially if you are asking for promotion. It's very important to help to position yourself on the same side of the table as your manager. So don't be too rude, don't be too aggressive, don't push too much. Be rather try to through your gesticulation, through your preparation, try to be on the same level as your manager. Why is that very important? Because your boss, female or male, they hire you to generate value for the company. It's obvious. They want to earn money, and they need people who help them make this vision comes true. So when you are let's say, you are more likely to feel value, stay at the company, and contribute very productively. That's something you both want. So always keep in mind and check if it's actually the same, let's say, vision and the same actually point of view on your boss side. Even if your role doesn't affect the company revenue directly. Yeah, there could be the case that you don't work in sales or marketing, so your job position, your job description, it doesn't affect the company revenue directly. There's a mutual win in there anyway. Yeah, but you have to clarify it. You have to actually translate it as much as possible, your work, in terms of cost, in terms of branding, value, customer satisfaction, and stuff like this. And if you start to feel yourself or your manager slipping into this defensive mindset, bring it back. Really bring it back for the point where it's really matters. So be calm, be relaxed during the discussion, don't be aggressive in your voice, don't try to put higher your voice, but rather concentrate on arguments, on counter-arguments. That's the important thing. The next point is show how you can contribute to the bottom line. So it's basically basically about demonstrating your value through the contribution that you made through your career in your current role. So this shows emphasis for first of all your experience and the results that you achieved during working in that company, and then try to find the evidence where the business, the company was growing, and how your job, how your daily task helped the company to grow. But please don't make demands. When asking for a rise, it should never be present as ultimatum. You shouldn't go there and say, if you don't get me 10% more, I will quit. You may get the extra money, but the opportunity cost could be step if you just do it in a not appropriate way. So really set the stage of the request that you have, and it's really based on the facts, on your key accomplishment and the contribution. Very important aspect is play the long game. What does it mean? So it could be the case that you want to get higher salary. Or maybe it could be the case you are not going to get the salary you want at all. When that happens, politely and very respectfully, that's very important, politely and very respectfully ask your potential new boss, rather than HR person, if you can sit down together and determine what specifically you need to do to earn more, to earn the rise in the future. What steps you have to accomplish in order to get more money, or what steps you have to make in order to get to the higher C-level position, or the steps that you have to get in order to switch the position. Yeah, very important aspect, and work very on this points very specific as possible. Really, the best option is just write it down, pin down a time frame. So for example, if your boss said you have to bring to the company 10 new satisfied clients, So then your question should be until when should I bring the new client? What kind of client it should be? Should be the clients small, medium, whatever any specific of the clients is. So take notes. Let your new boss see that you are taking notes and work up something in writing. Very important, in writing. So you can both agree to that. Yeah, so it's very important when you finish this discussion, say, okay, so we were discussing this point, can we agree on that? And if both of you, and especially if he or she will agree on that, it's of course, you can actually report this. And once you meet those goals, because it's only not the question if I'm gonna hit this goal, if I'm gonna reach this goals, it's only the question when do you meet these goals. It will be very difficult to your boss not to grant your rise, yeah, or at least to telling you not to give you the salary increase, yeah. So it's very important. I mean, this preparation part is very important. So there are the main tricks that you can actually use in terms of asking for rise. Of course, you have this option, no money aspect. So for example, if you said, okay, salary at the moment, it's not very important topic for me, but I would like to have additional. And here are some of them additional non-money perks that you may ask for, like having your pay reevaluated next quarter. Or new job title instead of junior to senior or VP or whatever. You can also ask about coding class or an executive MBA program, or at least some other kind of, for example, maybe German lesson or Spanish lesson, which will be paid by the company. You can also ask for a project with the new senior executive. You can also ask the new project in a different area that you are working at the moment. You can also ask for more marketing experience, someone who will coach you in terms of selling, in terms of pitching or whatever. You can also ask about sabbatical, flexible work agreements, additional vacation time. Mentorship is very popular, especially on the senior executive and C-level position. And you can also ask, if they say no, salary is not possible, you can also ask for ownership of the next big project where you'll be dealing with the new challenges. So the main idea is really ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. That's the rule. And this rule works for everything, actually. So don't be afraid to ask. And here are some actually additional smart questions that you can ask during salary negotiation. So let's see, let's say you are sitting together on the same, you are just familiar with the same, let's say, job description, job position. You just present your wishes, you just present your numbers in terms of your salary. You can also ask some questions, and one of them could be, how are the future salary rise determined? How do people in this position typically grow over the time? I mean, this question is very, very smart one. And why? Because it's showing that you understanding the way of developing yourself in the company, understanding if and when you will be able to for this pay bump and something worth, taking into consideration that you are starting now. So now you are starting with the lower salary, but in the future you will accept the high one. So it's very smart question. Just make a notice. So sometimes if you don't know what to answer your boss, if you come up with some counter argument, just through this question. It's very smart one. And plus, asking this question, you can reflect well on your potential. You can reflect very well on willing to grow with the company, willing to learn. And there's nothing better than employee who is interested in developing his career. So you have to show that your focus is to contribute to the organization. And you can ask how I can contribute to the organization. That's the next question. What do you think is my most important contribution to the company? Let's say the boss said, no, unfortunately, we cannot allow you to get your higher salary because of X, Y, Z. Then you can ask, what do you think is my most important contribution to the company? And this is also a very sneaky question, because it's all, you are essentially making your boss an advocate for you. So it's like just changing the role. So not you have to explain why you are good for this job position and what you can bring to the company, but it's other way around. Your boss has to tell in his word, no matter how she evaluated, has to say why she think you are good for this position. Let them use their own words, because it's very important. They should use their own words to remind themselves why you are so valuable. And then you can continue making your case and explain that you would like to discuss additional compensation and stuff like this. So the second very sneaky question, please just keep it in right, and very important. Yeah. The third part is don't commit too quickly. Yeah, don't commit too quickly. And so it's meant that the employer often offers the job and salary at the same time when you are the job seeker. And they say, okay, you will get C-level position or marketing manager, and the salary is X. Never say, on the rule is never say yes right away, even if you think it's very good offer. Why? Because you have always the option to come back and try to get more. Yeah. So tell them you will give them answer within a central frame of time, like in a week, or you can also say, I'm just having the discussion with the another companies and I will reach you back in a couple of days. So don't commit too quickly at the first job interview. And of course, the last question is don't accept the first offer. Don't stop until the employer said, this is our final offer. Yeah, this is our final offer. Okay, that's the point where we say, okay, that's enough. But even you are happy with the first offer, don't accept it. Don't accept it. It could be even higher, making you even happier. Yeah. So why not to try? Why not to try? And there is no harm in asking. And there is no harm, and there is nothing wrong in asking if there is any possibility to increase the offer. There is really no harm. Yeah. So if an employer can come through on salary, ask, is there any other compensation opportunities, like additional bonus, like mentoring program, like coaching program, like sponsoring German lesson or Spanish lesson or whatever. Yeah. Just think about your job offer as a whole aspect, not about the single stuff. And in order to asking this question, you have to, of course, do the 3 steps that I mentioned you before. Be prepared, know exactly how much your colleagues earning on the same position in these branches, in these industries, how much money you can earn, what are the possibilities, how much salary increase can you expect in the company, it is 2% or it is 5%. And then just ask. And because now we are in the time of COVID-19. Some of you probably don't have possibility to talk with your boss directly because you don't meet him, her, or because of the financial problem of the companies. You can, of course, start negotiate your salary over email. Just sending one nice email, asking email. And it's best to keep your salary negotiation emails very polite, very professional, and very direct. You want to demonstrate that you are very thankful and of course organized, and you want to respect your supervisor time. And what are the typical to-dos, not to-dos actually. So the effective price is like, is there any wiggle room? Can I negotiate my salary? Yeah, it's not too sensitive. Do you mind if I ask you what is the salary range for me in this role, for example? That could be also the question. Can we discuss the other components of the compensation plan, or how willing you are to do? Yeah. And for example, I also just put the email to HR manager, to your supervisor, who just offer you the new position. And of course, in this email should be also mentioned, I'm very excited about the new opportunity. I feel really grateful for this offer, for starting salary. I'm looking for something closer to, and the numbers, you can say in the numbers of range X and Y. And why is and then of course you have to put the sentence with why I would like to get more. What are the reasons? What did I bring to the company since I was working there? How many new clients I was working, how many new clients I brought to the company, and also how the revenue increased when I was taking care of this project, or how the project was lead. And then you can ask, is there any chance to negotiate? Of course, you shouldn't use the phrase like, I will not accept anything lower than, I need a higher salary because of paying my bill. Everyone needs to pay their bills, so please don't use this kind of communication. Try to be very polite and for sure very diplomatic in this case. Of course, it's better to have one-to-one personal contact, but if it's not possible, you can also try just this first discussion, first email per email, and then you can wait for the response for your supervisor, and then you can actually schedule a classical Zoom meeting, for example. Yeah. So that are the let's say do's and not do's, and the couple of tricks how you can actually increase your salary and rise your salary. Now I would like to go with you a little bit in terms of how your German payslip looks like. A little bit explain you how the system in Germany looks like in terms of calculating your netto salary. Yeah, and there are actually couple of things in your classical payslip. So then I will go through all of them. Basically, I just listed them here in order to have some structured discussion. So when you open your payslip, you have this first information where it's all the data, employee's number, tax-free numbers, pension, special fund, child allowance, private insurance, blah, blah, blah. All these points are in this basic information. The second big part is earnings. So your salary, employer contribution to the saving plan, if the employer offered something like this, deduction for tax or social security, it's also included there. Also bonus is included there, also non-cash benefits, also the benefits in kind of subject to value added tax, and it's part of gross total. Then we have taxes and all social contribution like income taxes, solidarity surcharge tax, church tax, health insurance contributions. Then we have long-term care insurance, pension insurance contribution, unemployment contribution. Everything is under this net income. And then we have others like credit to saving plan, other adjustment, non-cash benefits, private pensions, and many of them, they have this kind of option, many employers. In order to understanding the German payslip, you need to know that in German we have these 5 tax classes. And either you are number 1 or number 2, 3, 4, 5, depends on your financial and family situation. Number 1 taxes are for singles or separate employers who are not feeling into the class 2 and 3. What is class 2? Class 2, there are singles or separate employers who have a child and entitling them to a child allowance. Number 3, there are married employers or widowed employers who are within the first year of spouse death. Then number 4, there are married employers. Both are working and receive quite high income or approximately average the same income. And the 5th tax classes, there are married employers. Normally both you would fall into the class 4, but one of them in this class 3 and one of them in the class 5. So the typical German marriage is 5-3 or 1-2. Yeah. The question is how it's actually calculated, your payslip. So how you can also calculate your netto salary. Of course, at the moment you can just Google it, calculator for netto salary, and you find a lot of them. But in order to understand the logic behind it, it's very important. So income taxes and social security's contribution will take up around 35% of your gross salary. 35% of your gross salary is taking on income taxes, social security contribution. So for example, if your gross salary, monthly salary is 3,000 euros, then after the deduction of the taxes and expenses, you will get netto salary 1,950 euros per month. 1,950 euros per month. So 35% less. And now I would like to go with you through all these packages, Renteversicherung, Krankenversicherung, explain you a little bit more what is behind it. No? Yeah. So we have, okay, so we know how we calculate the salary. 30%, 35% is deducted, we have also the option of the bonus and the special remuneration packages. So how does it work? So some employers in Germany also offer this additional kind of package in the form of 13th month, like 13 additional month. And it's for Christmas, or it's summer salary, or it's Christmas salary. Mostly it's a Christmas salary, or the commission on the performance-based salary. And with that, and basically benefits can also include company cars. It shouldn't be only 13. It could be company cars, computers, mobiles. It could be also some notebook, additional coaching, mentoring stuff. And if you are recruited from abroad, so for example, you will be working for international company, you may be offered an even more generous package. Some expats, for example, are offered money to cover the cost of relocation to another country, or even to private health insurance, or even short-term accommodation or school fees for their children. This kind of very common example is, for example, by Volkswagen. They have a lot of production in China, and they allow their German employees to go to the China, Singapore, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and then the employees get a special package, a relocation package, not only with the private health insurance, but also short-term accommodation, also the stuff like Putzfrau or even babysitter, and also sometimes they also cover the fees for their children. Yeah, so that's the option. Then we have deduction stuff. So then we have Lohnsteuer. Austria, it's nothing more that is income tax payable on your salary. In Germany, we have a progressive income tax system. What does it mean? It does mean the taxes at the higher rate. Once you will hit the central level, central bottom, you pay more. And perhaps you notice this deduction from your payslip. But please don't be confused with the income tax in general. So the German is Einkommensteuer. It's something different. So Einkommensteuern und Lohnsteuern, there's something different. So if you also have income from other sources, so you are working for the company X, but you have also some project, some sort of self-employed project on the side, or if you have income from interest, rental properties, dividends on stock and something like this, this is also counts toward your taxable personal income. Then we have the next point, which is Rentenversicherung. Rentenversicherung, pension insurance. This is the kind of this is a kind of deduction. This is kind of kind of package that you get in order to cover an old age pension when an employee retires, as well as providing a basic income for anyone who is no longer fit to work through his or her capacity. But however, it's very important to notice that it's not your own individual pension plan. Rather, it's a money which is being paid to the current working population. So each of us paying this Rentenversicherung, pension insurance, to a big basket in order to sustain today retires. So we pay to this basket in order to finalize, in order to finance the our grandpas. But the system in Germany is highly it's not very effective and very productive. It's highly dependent upon of the working population. So if we have a lot of young people who earn good money, and it will be good. But it's depend on the working population proportionally being to able to support pensioner at given of time. The problem is that at the moment we don't have enough young people who work for the pensioners, and if the situation won't change probably for the next year. Why? Because we have very older population in Germany. A very older population in Germany, so it's working. It's like this. Actually, there are a lot of elder people, and there are not so many children at the moment. At the moment, the German family has 1.4 average child. So the children who we are raising at the moment, it's not enough to put everything in the basket and finance our retirement. So that's why it's very important to save for your retirement and to have additional source of income, and to start thinking about how you can save for your retirement. How much money do I need for my retirement? If it's 200 euro, or do I start to save more in order to retire well? And this Rentenversicherung, which is actually bad about that, it's leave it at a whopping 90.6% of gross salary. 19.6% of gross salary, of which half of it is paid by your employer, and half of it is paid by yourself. So basically, you have to pay. We have to pay. I have to pay 9.8% of my hard-earned money into the insurance system, which many believe it's not longer. It's working effectively. It's not longer sustainable enough. It's not longer bring anything. So I would prefer pay this 9.6% somewhere else, but I'm obliged as an employer and also as employee to participate in this program, let's say. Then we have Krankenversicherung, health insurance. So health insurance, they take 14.6% of your gross salary in total. So it's also a big part. It's less than Rentenversicherung, but it's still almost 15% of your gross salary in total. And that's the next biggest hit after income tax and pension insurance. So pension as an income tax, how much tax we have to pay, and the pension insurance, and the third one, health insurance. For those of you who are public insured, there is this 50-50 rule, also the 50-50 split between employer and employee when it comes to contribution. And this is always evident in your payslip, so you should always send in your payslip by the word AN. It's like Anteile, employee contribution, and it's also AG, Anteile, employer contribution. So there are AN, employee contribution, and AG, employer contribution. Yeah, so 14% of that is going there. If you are private, insured, you will see something like AG, so this employer contribution, Zuschuss. It's also on the line on your payslip, and this means that this represents the 50% contribution by your employer towards your private healthcare costs. Because you are responsible for contribution for the private health system, this is not deductible from your gross pay, and as such, the employer contribution is added to your gross salary. That means it's enabling you to pay this one per month directly debt to your health insurance company. Usually, it's actually it's a good option. The problem with the Krankenversicherung, the private Krankenversicherung health insurance, are very expensive in the long term, in the long way. Yeah, and you have to know that if you are private insured, then your monthly premiums will be calculated accordingly to your individual tariff, and it's a flat percentage, depends on the insurance company. Then we have another strange indicator, Pflegeversicherung. It's a long-term care insurance. So it's similar to health insurance. So you can opt out to public insurance if you earn above the same the average amount of money as the same as for the health insurance. And this long-term care insurance for the public one insure around 2.5% of gross your income for the families, for families with children, and 2.8% for those one who cannot get the children. And it's the same like in the health insurance, it's split 50-50 between employer and employee. Then we have the charge tax. Charge tax is also deducted, is also levied by the Finanzamt on behalf of the church institution in Germany. So the rate you pay depends on the Bundesland in which you live. So for example, in Bavaria or the Baden-Württemberg, you have to pay 8% on the total amount of your income tax pay. In other land, it's, for example, so in Berlin, it's, for example, 9%. The good thing is this tax, it's entirely voluntary, and it depends on your religious affiliation. If you say, I'm not Catholic, I'm not a Protestant, I don't want to participate in any of church community, you don't have to. Yeah, you are like, let's say, expected. If you decide to register yourself Catholic, Protestant, you have to pay it. And then we have the next deduction from your payslip, from your brutto salary. It's Solidaritätszuschlag. It's called Solidarity Surcharge. The short name for this is SOLI. It's called SOLI, and it's this is taxable at 5.5% of your total income paid, and appears as a separate line on a German payslip. So SOLI, you will sit as a separate position on a payslip, and there are some exclusion for those one who earn extremely low, but it's highly unlikely this will affect you due to therefore being so low. So this tax is quite interesting history behind it. This tax was brought in the German reunification to fund the massive infrastructure projects necessary to bring East Germany up to the standard of the West Germany. Ordinarily, it was set to only be valid until 2019. However, despite of the lot of political discussion and stuff like this, it appears that the German government will keep it on going base. Will change it probably with some other small changes, but anyway, SOLI is paid in full by the employee. And it's also interesting to know that it's also calculated on capital gains as well as on corporation tax. And the last but not least, we have Arbeitslosenversicherung. Unemployment insurance is provided in order to guarantee an expectancy well-being in the case of losing your job, willing enable to work in the future, and this contribution were increased to 3% of your gross salary from 2011 tax year. So we can also so as I said, only 3%, but if you calculate 3% here and 14 there and 15 there, so it's a big amount actually. And this contribution and unemployment insurance are split 50-50 between employer and employee. And it's also this Arbeitslosversicherung is connected with the Arbeitslosengeld on Hartz IV, but contrasting Arbeitslosengeld I and also Hartz IV really is in a bare minimum amount paid in order to provide your basic existence. So so in order to actually I think there are the most important topics that I want to discuss with you in terms of payslip. As you notice, we pay a lot of additional taxes in Germany. Also taxes for when you decide to invest your money are at the moment 25%, depends on if you are Catholic or not. So Germany belongs to one of the most European countries with very difficult tax system. So that's why I wouldn't go deeply into this topic. I'm not a tax advisor. I just want to bring you a couple of information how you can read your payslip and what are the most important aspects on your payslip. And the main focus is like getting a rise and how to negotiate your salary. So that's from my side. Thank you for your time. I'm just open for your question. Let's start a conversation. Do we have any questions?
Managed to click unmute. We have a lot of questions. Thank you very much. let me first of all allow people to unmute themselves. All right. So would you want to read the questions from the chat, or should I read this out for you?
No, I see. So I just have to go. I just finished the Probezeit. 1 second. Oh my God.
Let me start. Actually, there was one that was sent anonymously before the conversation started.
Okay.
I would love to ask Karoline when and how to ask for a pay rise within the same company. This one you don't see because it was sent anonymously to me.
Okay. When is the best time to ask for a rise in the same company? So the first question is when and how. So the first question is, how long do you work for this company? Did you already pass the Probezeit, the 6 months, or you are still on the Probezeit? The second aspect is probably now it's not a good occasion to ask for rise. Of course, there are companies who earn a lot of money, especially in biotechnology, pharma industry. They are very high evaluated. In those kind of companies, you can ask for a rise. If you are working in a industry like touristic, or industry like automotive industry, or even those one who are organizing events on conference, I wouldn't ask for a rise because with the highest probability they have financial or cash flow problems at the moment. But if you are working for the stable company and some tech company, you can after 1 year, it's a good time to ask for the salary, but as I mentioned, be prepared for that. So just ask a very specific question, use specific language, and be very open for the proposition that they actually have for you. After 1 year, it's a good starting point because you have enough experience already, your colleagues know you already, your supervisor know you already, and then you can start.
The next of the questions is all open. Would you, so the next one, if you want to read this, it's from Janina.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Wait a second, because I lost my chat somehow.
Okay, would you like me to read this out?
Yeah.
What do you do when you expressed your salary expectations in the very beginning of the application process, as it's often required, and you find out that the position will be much more than announced in the job description from requirements? Is it a good idea to get a higher salary in the late stage of the application process? Is there a better way to say, I mentioned number this and that in the beginning, but now I think the position should be paid higher?
So for sure, it's a good idea to try to get the higher salary, because during the application process, it's quite often the situation that you couldn't know that, or you didn't do enough research before. Sometimes it's maybe you can also motivate it that you were talking with someone who is working already in the company or who was working there, and get you some insight in terms of salary. So for sure, the good idea is to try to get a higher salary and ask, because if you don't ask, you won't get anything. Don't be afraid to ask, and really keep this in mind. Plus, to Janina's question, I'm also wondering how to handle this. Okay, so it's the same. What is considerable a good increase in the salary for good performance? Whatever, yeah. I mean, so normally average in, let's say, German.
Can you repeat the question for the recording?
Sorry. What is considered a good increase in salary in German? 1, for a good performance. 2, for a title bump. 5%, 10%, 20%. Yeah, I mean 20% will be great. So my answer on that: in German established company, typical traditional German one, the average increase salary per year is between 2 to 5%. If you're working for international company with a lot of with a high budget, with a high projects and really interesting revenue stream, you can apply for more. But in Germany, I mean, if you get 5%, it's very good. And there are a lot of employers, they said, we can only increase your salary on the same level like the inflation rate. So the realistic will be around 2 to 3%. Unfortunately, some companies are not very transparent. Yes, I should read it, sorry. Unfortunately, some companies are not very transparent with their salary bands for position. They pay scale from junior to senior and beyond. What do you do if your HR team or manager refuse to share this information? Then you and company. Then the company is less than 200 employees and you have no legal means to ask. Yeah, that's also a quite often issue. Actually, there are, I think there are 2 online portals where you can actually informal actually ask this question or raise this question, and said that in that company the practice is not to sharing the salary, and probably you will notice that will be a lot of small companies there. Of course, companies, they don't have to. They try to hide behind the data protection and something like this. But those companies who has a very good intention, who really care about their employees, they share this knowledge. They share these numbers. Some of the companies, they also have from day one the tariff report, where you can see exactly how much you will earn with the experience of, let's say, 7 years, how much you will earn on this position, and what are the salary expectation, the salary weight in a different years. Well, unfortunately, in Germany, most companies are not transparent at all. In Austria and even UK, they mention a scale band salary already on the job advert. Yes, that's the topic that we in Germany, we have to work on it, and it's especially a very big task of HR department, and it's of course the big role of our politician to make this salary topic more transparent. And especially, and the interesting thing is that all these questions arise from women. So the last 3 questions arise from women. So that's the point where we should be more active and should, I mean, be in charge of this discussion, because yeah, that's true. The salary system in Germany is not transparent. There are a lot of talks and projects working on that, how to increase the transparency on the employees market. And I think Germany, the politician and also the government, they already noticed that there are not so many young people who are willing to stay in Germany, but they just go somewhere else where they have the not only better condition, but also the status of employee is better. Is there a legal basis to ask for a salary band if company has more than employees? I don't think so, to be honest. I think it's working for those companies who are listed on the stock exchange. I mean, everything which is small, SDAX, MDAX, TechDAX, they have to show that. They have to also explicitly show the number of women, for example, on managing position and board advisory. But in a small company, it's not yet. No, I don't think so. Maybe there is there's something. That's why, for example, Hire the or the other portal is good to read in order to get this information. Yeah. I was wondering how restricted stock units work. It's an offer that I have received, and I read the info material and provide and trigger Googling, but I'm still unsure how it works and how it be taxed in the case. Yeah, so in terms of stock units, you mean like labor force, like like Dini, could you maybe raise your question now, because it was the private one? Could you maybe just ask your question, then I can better understand your thoughts? Yes. Do you want to ask the question? So I was offered a salary plus restricted stock unit. Yeah. So you mean stock units in terms of stock shares of the company? So part of my salary will be invested in the stock units. Okay. So depends on the company and depends on the condition. Normally, the companies are doing the whole that they offer the salary plus the stock option, stock options program it's called, in order to increase motivation on one hand, and also the linked you a little bit with the company. And normally it's called they vest during the period of 4 years, and it's actually in your case the 4 years, and it's working like this, that you have to pay minimum 4 years the company in order to get this the stocks the stock price. Depends from the company. If the company is in technology industry, make it sense. If the company evaluation and financial projection and cash flow are very good, make sense to stay on to use it. Depends on the conditions of the contract. I just finished the probate size, 6 months in the company. Would you say it's the right time for initiating a salary raise conversation? At the moment, I would say just wait 6 months, because in order to find out and figure out what's the COVID-19 situation bring, and then I will just go for it. So as I mentioned before, 1 year it's a good starting point. If the employers answer for the rise request will be negative because of the reason which are not related to me, Corona, etc. What would you suggest to do next, and what would you say the right timing to initiate this talk again? Yeah, I mean, Corona is quite at the moment it's quite big reason, and a lot of employers, they use this as a it's a soft saying no. Yeah, but on the other hand, I'm also on the employer perspective. I also have a people in my team, so I can, if you know probably the best your company, you know in which industry you are working, you know how the coronavirus linked to the financial situation of your company. So it's not that always the chefs they use this aspect of coronavirus, because coronavirus will end probably next year, and because we are in Germany, we will deal with this problem with the COVID-19 anyway faster than other European countries. So I would wait. I will be patient. And wait until the situation will formalize a little bit more and will be more stable, and then start and negotiate a salary.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes. I had. So my question is, what happens, or what will you do if you suddenly realize that your male counterparts are earning more than you? Like you just got in, and after like 2 months, you realize that, and you want to go and actually ask for that raise or something like that.
Yeah, that's a quite common problem actually, that women on the first job interview, they accept the offer, and they don't negotiate this offer, and later on that's the problem. The male colleagues, they earn a little bit more. So what I will do, I will go, if you have, of course, the hard evidence on that he is earning more money than you, and he is basically on the same job position. So you have exactly the same job description. Then I will go to my supervisor and I will just start discussion in terms of negotiation, my salary and getting a rise, because it's clearly unfair. This is clearly against the gender aspects, and it shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be actually accepted. And if you decide to have this discussion, maybe your supervisor, he or she will have this aha moment and really recognize the idea of paying the same women, and then that will make a change. So I think maybe it's a good idea also to talk with your other female colleagues in the company about it. Maybe they also, maybe they are also affected with the situation. If yes, then you have, of course, the higher arguments behind you, because you are not alone in this. And in this case, but you have another women who are also dealing with this problem. So try to talk with the others. So first of all, talk with the colleagues, other colleagues. Make sure that that's you are not only in this situation, and then make an appointment with your supervisor and HR department and just clarify it. What percentage do you recommend to add to your wish salary in order to leave room for negotiation, and given the fact that companies tend to offer you less, 5 or 10%? Thank you for your insight, Karolina. I will say I will say 10%. That was my strategy always when I was working for the corporation. It was my strategy. 10%, because you have always the line when you can go a little bit down. But of course, the question is only salary the most important aspect, or are you also willing to take 5% plus additional vacation day or additional coaching, mentoring, or whatever? No? So think about what is important for you, focus on your priorities, and then figure out how much you are actually worth. No? I've been trying to get both salary rise as well a title charge for more than a year. My boss decided to give me a new title, unliterally, but this came with no salary increase. The conversation has been very painful to have, as there are absolutely no clear KPIs within the company. It seems to be based on the goodwill of my boss. Should I give up and start looking for the better position, or should I keep pushing? If I should keep asking more, what any advice on what I should charge in my strategy? As far as I understand it, you tried a couple of times in terms of negotiation or salary, but if the conversation was during the time very painful, I would just cut the contract. I would just looking for a better position or change the job. And if you don't feel confident talking about a salary negotiation with your boss, supervisor, it's mean that probably there is no good will on his side or her side. So the option for you, it will be to change a job and find something else, because you always have to calculate. If you have the X euro per month, let's say your netto salary, how much money you could earn in a different position where you'll be more satisfied, where you'll be working for a more interesting project, where you'll be working maybe less hour, and then just do the basically calculation. Do some research by Gehalt.de or Hired on Comparisto, and then you will know what will be the best option actually for you. Is it legal to share your salary with your colleagues because you don't want to put your male colleagues in trouble with the hard evidence to prove gender pay? But yeah, but if it's but paying employee lower salary because of the gender and because of the skin color, it's a proof of gender inequality. It's a hard evidence. So you can actually go to court and say, in this company, the salary rules are not restricted. Of course, it's not a good discussion, but another question is, do you want to stay in this kind of company? Or or maybe you should looking for another one. Thank you very much for your time and sharing your knowledge. I think that was the last one. Or
yeah, it's also the last one that I see. So maybe last chance if anybody wants to type something, or
maybe you just want to share your experience. I'm really interested in your experience. What kind of experience do you have in salary negotiation?
So there's one question in the chat in addition now showed up.
Isn't there a recent law where we can ask about salaries of the other gender with the same role? I'm not sure. I read about that, but I don't know if it's in place actually, if it's official, like in place. But in a big corporates, big companies for sure. So you have also in the big companies you have also, let's say, like a trust person who with whom you can talk about this aspect. It's not only about the salary aspect. If the problem is, for example, mobbing, or if the problem is wrong behavior in the company, you can also actually report it to someone who is it's called like trust person in the company. So find out if you have someone like this in your company. If not, the solution is to just approach HR department.
So if we're out of questions, you, Karolina, have a question to everybody on how your negotiation salary goes, or what would you like to ask?
No, my question was maybe someone would like to share their knowledge, how they effective negotiate the salary, how was the conversation, if it was very painful or it was quite nice. So maybe there are some other tricks that could be used in the future for others. If you have something, it will be great to hear that.
You're also welcome to type the answer to Karolina or to yourself, and we will read this out for you on your behalf in an anonymous way. So what are your tips and strategies for negotiating?
So if you have maybe some question, but you are afraid to ask because it's too private or personal, you can just send me an email. I will leave you my email.
So here are some tips.
Yeah, usually ask for 10%, like Karolina mentioned. Yeah, it's a reasonable amount. It's not too much. It's not too less. It's still better than the inflation rate. So it's good. It's good option. But as I said, at the moment, the situation with the corona, there are a lot of small, medium enterprise that are getting very cash flow problems. So I can imagine that at the moment is not the perfect time for asking for rise, but as soon as the corona COVID-19 will be over, you should work on
it. Two more tips that were listed above is, in my experience, the best way to get a raise and promotion was by submitting a letter of resignation.
Oh yeah, that's already tough. That's already tough.
The easiest when you have another offer.
Yeah, natürlich. That's always good negotiation point, but sometimes you don't. That's And here was the recommendation of the book. I would recommend the book Never Split the Difference for Negotiation Skill. Never split the difference. Yeah, good to know. No, never split the difference.
So there was a question: when researching the amount you'd like to be paid, which amount do you check for example, in case employer and employee don't come from the same country?
Yeah, that could be the tricky situation, but you can always touch and stay in contact or contact someone who is working for this company in your country. So for example, if you see the salary in US and you know there are some employers on, let's say, marketing sales position in Germany, you can approach them. At the moment, you can, due to that we are so easy way to communicate with people, you can approach the people on LinkedIn, for example. And there are some also portals which also do the evaluation what are the best of tech German companies which is really value work with yeah.
I asked for 20% after realizing that everyone else was getting paid more than me and that I was indispensable. They didn't agree, but they did give me 6% raise, but I'm wondering how to proceed and push for it.
Yeah, that's also the topic, how the employees are treated in a company. And here someone wrote down that Glassdoor, Glassdoor is very popular in US. It's also good platform where you can compare the salary, where you can check how much do you earn on the position X in this kind of industry. Yeah, Glassdoor is also very good.
Somebody is writing that she realized that the male counterparts were paid 4 times more the stipend, the scholarship, and she did the resignation letter. And they were surprised, and their 11 days
increased the salary.
But she still quit.
Yeah, because it's always the question, what kind of mission and vision do you want to support? It's exactly the same how because the big stock companies, they have to publish each year not only the financial statement, balance and stuff like this, but also the projection in terms of how many women do they want to have on the high level position. And there is an organization in Germany which is called FIDA, Frauen in der Aufsichtsräte, and they actually once a year, so I will type in the so it's international German organization, non-profit organization, and they specialize in increasing the women in a C-level position, advisory position. And each year they produce Women Board Index. It's a book which shows what are the companies. There are all the DAX companies, German companies, small DAX, tech DAX, MDAX, listed with the status quo, how many women are on this position, how many new faces were coming, how many left, and stuff like this, and the projections. And some of the companies, even the big one, they project to have 0 women on advisory board position. 0. They put the number 0. And of course, what we as women we can do about it, we can just actually start the low fight with them and just not to buy their products. Yeah. I don't know if you follow. It was a big action, actually, a movement in Twitter and internet. After that, like FinMarie, they producing the glasses. They announced that they that the number of female, the number of women on the advisory board level will be for the next 2 years 0. And then it will be on. That was only one tweet from one of the women who were really pissed off with the situation, and that increased, of course, the whole movement. So that is how we can actually increase the knowledge and increase the change. Pina, yeah. Do you have any other question, or do you want to share any other experience? Any one of you have a positive experience so far?
Going once, going twice. Right, I think that's it. And the email, Karolina, your email is in the chat if anybody wants it.
Yeah.
It will be available for a few more seconds, so please copy this. But once the call is over, the chat will not be available. So make sure you copy it. Maybe we can write it there one more time.
Yeah, and if you have any other question in terms of investing your money and saving for your retirement, because you have already calculated your Pensionsscheme and Versicherung, Rentenversicherung, they bring nothing, and how you can just start to save and invest for your retirement, for your well-being, just let us know. We are happy to share hints and tips with you. We also on all social media like Women Tech Makers, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, so you can follow us. You can also follow me and contact me via LinkedIn. I'm also active there. So if you have any question in terms of negotiation, salary, investing money, starting saving for retirement, just let us know. Ping us a message.
Thanks again, everybody who participated, and big special thank you, Karolina, for sharing your knowledge with everyone.
Yeah, and see you next time. I mean, not I won't be present next time, but Karoline, my co-founder, she will be presenting topic real estate on the 27th of October. So if you have free evening on the 27th of October, join us. It will be a lot of information. Hopefully you it will be a nice evening.
Thank you.